Hi, friends. I'm going to return to a passage that Matt shared just a few days ago. It's Habbakuk chapter 3. Verse 17 reads this way. It says, "Even though the fig trees have no blossoms, and there are no grapes on the vines, even though the olive crop fails and the fields lie empty and barren, even though the flocks die in the fields, and the cattle barns are empty, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in the God of my salvation." Even though, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in the God of my salvation. I'm sure there are songs titled "Even Though." If there aren't, there should be. Even though, Habakkuk says. This so aligns with our human experience. Our lives are a series of ups and downs, sometimes more downs than ups. Sometimes our even those are underlining our daily life. There's nothing quite visiting people whose circumstances are not even closely as comfortable as our own, to give us a cold dose of reality, though. I'll never forget when we were in California and we were new parents. We thought we had very little until we went to Tijuana and brought clothes and food down to a small community down there called Divina Providencia, Divine Providence. Robin and I came back realizing that in property and in goods and in wealth, we were very wealthy. What's interesting is we saw joy down there. It's good for us to see that our own situation that we feel is so dreadful is but a blip compared to others. And yet, because it's our own, it's huge in our own sight and crowds out all other consideration. And that's frankly enough to go on with. After all, if our situation crowds out our peace, isn't it just as bad as someone who is in far worse circumstances if it crowds out their peace? Perhaps it's even worse than those that are in hard circumstances, harder than our own, who are completely at peace. Perhaps the measure of how bad the circumstances are should be how successfully they crowd out the peace that we have in Christ. Paul said, in all things, he had learned to become content. Even though I will rejoice in my God. That's a life worth pursuing. God bless.